Welcome back, everybody, to MX Gaming News here on Start Your Systems. I'm your host, Kellen Brower, and today we're going to talk about LCQ Studios and what they have been doing since the last update we got from them was a bad one. LCQ Studios and Turborilla, which were working on a Mad Skills Motocross Chasing the Dream game, decided to mutually part ways, and this was about 4 or 5 months ago now, and they've actually kind of done some cool stuff since then. So today, for our gaming news update, we wanted to kind of just highlight some of the cool things that LCQ Studios is doing with this game that we thought was maybe not going to happen at all, but they're moving it into a different direction, a new title that they're going to announce at some point as well. We're going to go over some of those things here today. So just a quick history lessons if you don't know what I'm talking about at all. Motocross Chasing the Dream was a game that was designed by LCQ Studios and was in beta, alpha, all these different processes over the last maybe like 7 or 8 years, honestly. And it comes from a team of creators that actually came from the MX Simulator side, and it's led by Michael Hodge, who we've seen over the years in the MX Sim side, moved into making this like kind of indie genre game called Motocross Chasing the Dream. And there was a beta of it available on Steam for a decent little bit, actually, and some people were able to get it, play the beta, because as they continue to develop the game, you could play it, and it's still playable now if you did originally buy that beta of the game. But as Michael put it, when they split with Turborilla, Valve won't let them reopen or re-enable that demo again or that game again. So because of that, and because they took it basically offline for the idea of Mad Skills Motocross Chasing the Dream, Motocross Chasing the Dream is officially dead as a title. But the base engine that they built for this game is something that they're still going to expand upon and work towards creating a new game. So let's talk about some of the things that they've done with that here today. Before we do that, though, what happened with the Turborilla and Chasing the Dream breakup with LCQ Studios? Basically, they got together. Joe Welch, the director of design at Turborilla, talked about how they were trying to reach a $2 million funding goal, and they went to some conventions and started working on trying to, pitch to publishers. And apparently one of the publishers they went really far with, as Michael Hodge put it, and that publisher pulled out last second and put them in kind of a bit of a tailspin in trying to figure out what to do next to continue to find funding. But eventually they decided that it would be better to split ways because they were just spending a lot of money and not actually, been able to find the funding to put the game to, the public, basically. So they split up. No hard feelings on either side. In fact, they were both kind of bummed that they couldn't keep working together, but obviously Turborilla is going to keep doing what they're doing with Mad Skills Motocross and Mad Skills BMX and all the stuff that they do. But for LCQ Studios, this is now pivoting into doing their own indie game again, but kind of with a twist now. As Michael Hodge put it, the focus on the 3 pillars that they want to accomplish are physics, multiplayer, and modding. And so if you've been following along in their LCQ Studios Discord over the last 3 or 4 months since the split with Turborilla, he's been doing a lot of devlogs and putting out information about this is what we're doing and this is what it looks like. And there's been a ton of videos that have come to light. So I'm going to show you guys some of those today because they've also put them on their YouTube channel. So I feel like it's kind of cool to point you guys in that direction as well to see what they're doing over on their YouTube channel. Before we talk about what's on their YouTube channel, I wanted to just show you that this was what Mad Skills Motocross Chasing the Dream was kind of supposed to look like. And if you've ever done the playtest for Motocross Chasing the Dream, it actually looks pretty similar to this. I think that they were just starting to make some, graphical updates and stuff like that. But the base physics engine looked very similar to what Mad Skills Motocross Chasing the Dream was looking like, at least in terms of their gameplay trailer, because they put this out over a year ago as a gameplay trailer to kind of, I guess, show the public that there was some progress being made towards an actual game coming to fruition regardless of funding or not. And I would assume to some degree that they were actually showing this, to prospective people that were maybe going to fund the game or publishers or anything like that would get involved. So, I think that this was kind of just a, hey, this is what we're doing. This is what it looks like. And soon enough, they'll be able to announce stuff. But this is generally speaking what the game was starting to look like before, obviously, the bad news came that we would not see this game come to light. So instead, let's pivot and talk about what they've been doing since. Now, as I mentioned, Michael has actually been putting a lot of stuff on their Discord. So if you go over their Discord, you'll see a lot of this stuff. But 2 weeks ago, specifically on the LCQ Studios YouTube page, he uploaded this Supercross testing beta version of the game and kind of just showed off what it looks like. This is a version of 2023 2023 or 2022 Salt Lake City, I believe, the track that he's playing on here. And it gives you just an idea of kind of where the physics engine is at, some of the things that they've been already manipulating, because if you've seen some of the overlaid gameplay that I've been putting with this video, that is of Motocross Chasing the Dream, the last time it was able to be played, which is now over 2 years ago on Steam. So this is, the most up-to-date version of what they've been working on. Actually, not quite, because there's a couple things that we're going to show off here in just a second. But as you can see, first-person cam works, slot camera works, third-person camera works. You can do a lot of different things with the visual aspects of this game. And I think that it looks better personally than MX Sim in terms of like a visual aspect. It's maybe not quite there with some of the cool things that we see in MX Bikes, but for a computer game, this is really pretty solid stuff right here for visuals. And you can see that there's been a lot of work that's gone into the models and the details and stuff like that. Now it's kind of, honing in all the stuff that goes along with it with the tracks and stuff. But physically, it looks like he's riding Supercross in first person. The whoop physics, he's bouncing through the whoops there. You go over this finish line jump, you can do a little flick whip right there. And, the game has always been way more arcadey, I feel like, than Bikes or Sim, even in the playtest of it. And you can kind of see that a little bit as well, but it has very realistic elements of it, of, speed and trajectory off of jumps, and you can kind of like use the rider positioning to lean into corners and stuff like that. To me, it honestly doesn't look as rigid as the Supercross games or MXGP games or anything like that. Somehow, some way, even as a pre-alpha to all this stuff, they've really figured out some really good fluidity with this game. And I think it deserves a lot of praise for some of the stuff that they've been doing behind the scenes. But this isn't the most recent thing that they've done. Here's something that they just put out, I think this week, that we're going to talk about right now. So yes, this week they put out, in fact, yesterday, they put out a whip initiation test video on their YouTube channel. And this is basically just to show in first person, this is what it looks like to like flick a whip out. And you can see the bike kind of going away from underneath the rider, but also the head staying very stable and central. Whereas if you think about MX Simulator, the head goes with the bike and the bars almost any direction. It kind of stays a little bit level sometimes, but MX Bikes has really kind of nailed that with the physics of the head stays in one spot, the bike goes in a different direction, and then it comes back underneath of you. But I feel like even this version of what they've put out for LCQ Studios, more so than the MX Bike stuff, kind of has, I don't know, like an easier look to it. MX Bikes, if you play it for a long time, you get used to the feeling of the bike disappearing from underneath of you and knowing where it's going and how to bring it back. But if you're a new player, you're like, where's it going? I don't know how to bring it back. It's confusing. Whereas LCQ Studios seems to have kind of found a way that the bike goes flying underneath of you in a whip, and you still see it. It still comes back around relatively easy. You can control it underneath of you. And, these whips look pretty fun. Like they're in first person, so we don't get an idea of what they feel like or look like in third person from this specific video, but they look fun here, and they look like it's pretty easy to do. So basically that's the update I wanted to give you guys today. A little bit of a look behind the scenes of what LCQ Studios is still doing. This game has not been announced yet of what it's going to be called or what it's going to look like fully, but they have been very transparent, and I feel like the Discord is a very good location for finding all this information out. There's a lot more going on behind the scenes that I won't even touch on today that you guys can go and just look at on their Discord. They're being very public and transparent about it. They're also very open to taking community feedback. So my advice to you guys, if you like this game and or just aesthetically you're like, this is promising, let's do something about it, go to that Discord. I'll include a link to their website in the description below, and there's a link to their Discord, and you guys can get involved as well and start interacting with them. Because look, as exciting as it is at Motocross, the game is coming out at the end of the year, or hopefully coming out at the end of the year. New Supercross game coming. MX Bikes has been fantastic with all the stuff that's going on there lately, and of course MX Sim just kind of keeps chugging along. It's never a bad thing to have more cool new titles involved in motocross gaming, and for us really just kind of more fun stuff to play. And as Michael Hodge put it when he was talking about not being able to get funding for the game, or actually I think Joe said this as well, basically if we choose not to buy these moto games, all the publishers and everything that might publish a moto game realize like, oh, the market's not really there. That's what they think because people aren't buying moto games. So even if the game isn't perfect and the best game ever, it's still a good idea to support these creators and support these games, because at the end of the day, we all love motocross and we're never going to evolve these games and get them better if we can't even get a starting point with some of them. So I strongly encourage you guys, check out lcqstudios.com, see what they're working on, and get involved over on the Discord. And that has been today's episode of MX Gaming News here on Start Your Systems. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let us know in the comment section below. Happy to talk to you guys down there. But thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you guys in the next one. So long for now.